my name is Jason with AlarmSystemStore.com, and in today's video I'm going to go through the basic programming for the DSC PowerSeries NEO. I'll start from the first Powerup, getting the keypad enrolled, enrolling other modules. We'll go through the basic zone programming for hardwired zones as well as wireless zones, and some other basic programming options. And then at the end I'll show you how to do the zone labeling on a LCD style keypad. So if you want to follow me over to the table, we'll get started. Alright, so this is a brand new factory defaulted system. So I'm just going to go through the whole process here, starting with the first power up. So I'll turn the power on. And now you'll see on the keypad the system's booting up. And you're just going to wait until it says to press any key to enroll. So the first keypad needs to be enrolled, and to do that it's an automatic process, so you just push a key. If you have multiple keypads, basically the first one that you push a key is going to be your first keypad, and you'll have to enroll the other ones through the programming. So the first thing that I want to show before we get anywhere into the programming is how to default the system. You might need to do this, if you're doing a takeover of a system and you need to change a whole bunch of stuff, maybe you're moving to a different house, whatever the case is. Or maybe you've just installed the system and did a whole bunch of programming before you found this video and you really don't know what you've done. It's a good way to get back to a clean slate. So let's go through that real quick. So first you'll go into programming, *8. And it'll ask for your installer code. The default is 5555. Obviously, if you change the installer code, you'll just enter whatever you change the installer code to. Now, to get to the default section, it's 9999. So it says select, and then it'll have 3 zeros in parentheses. We're going to enter the 999, and you'll see the 9s start showing up there. And then it's going to ask for the installer code again, so we'll re-enter. And then press * or enter 999 to default the system. You'll see the message, system defaulted, and then you're going to get powering up, please wait. Now, one thing we've run into a lot with people is that they'll kind of start panicking when this starts happening. The system's going to reboot, and they're expecting to get the press any key to enroll message. But you don't get that right away. Not sure why, but it'll show this, panel response not received, and then a lot of times they'll go into an error message asking you to push pound to silence. You can do that if you want. And there it is. Call for service, you can ignore that. Just be patient. Eventually it will show press any key to enroll. And there it is. Okay, so the system is defaulted. Now, we hadn't made any changes, so it didn't do any changes to the system really, but except it did remove the keypad from the enrollment. So, next thing that we're going to do is enroll any modules you have. So to do this, you're going to go into programming, *8, installer code. And then you're going to go to section 902. So this is the module enrollment section. There's a lot of subsections in here. You can scroll through them if you want. But the one that we're worried about is auto enroll. So it's already on that when you first go to 902, so you can just push * or enter 000. So it's going to show auto enroll, and it's going to start looking at the core bus wires and detecting any modules that it sees. So any keypads you have, any communicators, any power supply modules, zone expanders, whatever the case is. So right now this is the only keypad we have on here. So under KP you see 01. We don't have any power supply modules or anything, so you don't see anything there. And then it does show a 0-1 next to M. What that's for is actually the built-in Power G transceiver in the keypad. So this keypad's kind of 2-in-1 modules. So after you give it a minute, just double check, make sure that you see the correct number of modules that you think you should see. If you don't, then there could be a wiring issue somewhere, and you can start troubleshooting that. But it should go pretty quick, and once it's done, you'll just push pound, and then pound again to go out of the module subsections. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to jump into here is our zone type assignments. Now this is just for hardwired zones. Wireless zones will actually be done through the wireless enrollment mode, so you don't really need to do it through zone type assignments, the regular process. You can, it's not going to hurt anything. It'll save time when you're doing your wireless enrollment, but you don't need to. So to get to that, we're going to go to section 001. And then you see it's asking for a 3-digit zone number. So zone 1001 is showing up. So if you're starting from the beginning, you'll just hit star. You can scroll through or enter the zone number that you want to go to. We're just going to hit star though, because we want to start on zone 1. So now it's asking for a 3-digit zone type. So it shows zone 1, and currently the default programming is at 001. So zone 1 we're going to say is our front door, and we want delay 1 there. So we're just going to hit star. Zone 2, we'll call it our back door, and we want an instant alarm there. We don't expect anyone to ever enter there when the system's armed, so again, we're going to keep it on the default 003. If we want to change it, you can enter in whatever number if you know it. If you don't, you can just scroll through and kind of look for, because it's going to show you what the different zone types are. So we're going to keep it on 003, so I'll hit star. Now zone 3, we're actually going to say is our living room motion detector. So we want to change that to interior stay away, which I know is 005. If you're not sure what it is, don't want to look it up. Again, nice thing about the NEO is you can just scroll through. Interior stay away, that's what we're looking for. So hit star there, or again, if you know it, you just enter the 3-digit. It'll pop up, and then move right to zone 4. Zone 4, we're going to say is a 4-wire smoke detector, our hall smoke detector. So that's our fire zone. So you can scroll through until you see fire. Generally you'll use standard fire, which is 008, so we'll go with that. And then from there, those are our only 4 hardwired zones for this example system. So you can go through and change these to null zone type, which is 000, but you don't need to. You can just leave it. So when you're done, you're just going to hit pound, and then you can hit pound again to get out of the zone selection. And so now we're back at the top. If you ever get lost in the programming, just hit pound until you get out. So now I'm out of programming, so I can just hit star 8 and go back in. And that kind of gets you back to the top of the menu. That way, if you're lost, you don't accidentally go into something you don't want to go into. So the next thing that we need to do is tell the system which zones we have in use. So to do this, we're going to go to section 201, and it's the partition 1 zone mask. So it's going to go subsections in 8 zone increments, so zone mask 1 through 8, 9 through 16, etc. So by default, your first 8 zones are turned on. So you'll see zone 1, it's got a Y. Y means yes, so it's on. 2 is on, 3 is on, 4 is on, etc. So what we want to do is actually turn off zones 5 through 8, because we're only using the first 4 zones. So you can scroll through and hit star once you get to the zone, and that toggles it. I'll change it to an N for no if it's on Y, or vice versa. The other thing you can do, you can just hit the number. It'll go straight to that one and toggle it. So I find that easier. If you know what the option is, you can just hit the number. If you're not sure, scroll through. It's going to give you the information and what it's on. So we can double check all those are off, so we'll hit pound. And then you can go to zones 9 through 16. Again, by default, these are on. So we can turn those off. It's not critical if you don't have a zone expander on there, because it's not going to find anything on those zones anyhow. But now, one thing that is a common mistake, so you see toggle 1 at the top. So zone 9 is actually option 1. So if I hit 9, it's not going to do anything. But if I hit 1, it's going to toggle it. Or again, you can scroll through and hit star on every zone. Just like this. Whichever way you want to do it, whatever's more comfortable for you, either way is going to work just fine. So again, hit pound. And you can continue doing this. This section will go all the way up to 128. If you have a HS2128, there's 128 possible zones. The one we're using is an HS2032, so there's only 32 zones, but those sections are still in there. They're just not going to do anything. So hit pound again once you're done. Now you could do this for multiple partitions. For this example, we're only going to go into one partition programming. It's pretty rare for people to need to use 2 partitions, so we'll leave it out of this video, and maybe we'll do another video sometime on how to set up a second partition. So that's all the programming there is to define hardwired zones. You turn the zones on and you set the zone types as those are your main programming options for hardwired zones. So the next thing we're going to go into is entry and exit delay. So we'll go into section 005 for this. And so these are all your system times. So you can see 000 is system area, 001 is partition 1, and then so on from there. We want to go into 001 for our one partition system. And so you see this asking for you to enter a 3-digit number in seconds for entry delay 1. And it even shows you what the parameters are, 000 through 255. Now one thing to note with CP01 standards, there's some default minimums that are programmed in. It'll still let you enter whatever you want, 000 through 255. But if you go below a certain value, it's going to default to a default minimum. This is to help prevent false alarms. If you set the entry delay too low and it doesn't give people enough time to disarm the system and you get a false alarm from it, it could cause undue burden on police departments. So they've come up with some standards that kind of help prevent that. So 30 seconds is actually the minimum with a CP01. But we're going to say maybe, this isn't right next to the door. We want some extra time to get the to the keypad and disarm. So we're going to add 15 seconds to that. We'll make it 45 seconds. So 045. And it automatically goes to entry delay 2. So generally entry delay 2, a lot of people don't use it. You may not need to. Usually people make it a little bit longer. Let's say you have a garage door and the garage door is a little further from the keypad and you need, maybe an extra 30 seconds to get to it, or maybe even longer. So you can set a second delay time that will affect that zone type, entry delay 2. So for our example, let's enter 90 seconds, so 090. And then it goes to the exit delay. So there's only one exit delay on the system, so you want to make that as long as you'll need to get out any door. So I like to make it a little bit longer than my longest entry delay. A lot of times, you know, if you're trying to get out of the house with kids or something, it can take a little bit longer to get out than just to walk in and disarm the system. So our longest entry delay is 90 seconds, so let's do 115 seconds. And then there's another one, settle delay. You can just leave this on 000. Once you're done, you'll just hit pound and that will go back out. You can then select your other partition if needed, but you know, like our example, we're only doing one partition, so we'll just hit pound again and that'll exit out of the system time programming. So the next thing there's a lot of programming options in here, obviously. Most of it you're just going to leave on default. There's a couple common ones that you may need to go into. First one we're going to talk about is system options under 013. So this one is going to be where you'll toggle resistor use on and off. We have a whole video on resistor use, so if you want to check that video out, it'll go into details about it. But basically, if you want to, you know, if you're not using resistors for whatever reason, you can toggle option 1 so that it's turned to yes, and this just says normally closed loops. So basically it's saying you have normally closed loops and not look for resistors. If you're using resistors, you leave this on default. You don't even need to go into this section. Another common one is under 015. And there's a couple in here. So the first one is option 2, which is the panic key. So if you use a keypad panic, by default it's a silent alarm. It's not going to turn on the siren. A lot of people want this to be an audible alarm, so you'll switch that to yes if you do. The other option is option 7 in here, which is TLM. It's becoming more and more common for people not to use a landline. The NEO, just like most other alarm systems, has a built-in phone dialer, and to monitor that phone line that's attached to it, it uses TLM, telephone line monitoring. Basically it's just looking for a dial tone. If it doesn't have a dial tone, it's going to throw up a trouble condition. So we're not hooking up a phone line to this system, so we're going to turn that off. If you're using a phone line, you'll want to keep it on just so you know if something goes wrong with the telephone line. But this is a very common one that people get that trouble code and they're not sure how to get it turned off. So once you're done, just hit pound again. So for this system, we have a 4-wire smoke detector, and then we're also going to just do an example that we also have a 2-wire smoke system set up. So maybe there's 2-wire smoke system, and then we added another 4-wire smoke because we wanted one in a different position, and it wasn't convenient to add it to our 2-wire setup. So to program these, we're actually going to have to go into PGM programming. So the first section we're going to go to is 009, PGM definitions. So for this, since we're only using one smoke detector, PGM1 is going to provide enough current to power it. So we'll go to PGM1 and we'll make this our 4-wire smoke detector. So if you enter 103 here, it's going to show sensor reset. So I'll go back to PGM1 so you can see that. 103 sensor reset. What this means is that when you And you can look this all up in the manual as well, but when you enter *72 on the keypad when system's disarmed, it's going to activate this PGM type for the sensor reset. And what it does is it turns the power off for 5 seconds and then powers back up. Smoke detectors are a latched alarm, so that means when they detect smoke, they trigger and they stay triggered until they power off. And this is how you reset it. If you didn't set the PGM up, basically you'd have to power down your whole alarm system or get in there and unplug the wires, which you don't really want to mess with. So this is just the easiest way to do it. And then we'll go to PGM2. PGM2 is where, if you're using 2-wire smokes, this is where you hook it up. The definition for 2-wire smoke is 104. And I'm not sure if you saw that flash on there. I'll go back real quick. So it says 2-wire smoke there. Basically this just makes that PGM a fire zone, and it will be reported as fire zone. That's how it'll show up on your keypad as well. With this PGM, if you disarm, it's going to automatically reset the PGM. So it's kind of convenient. Nice thing about 4-wire smoke detectors is you can address them. So, you know, we have zone 4 as our hallway smoke, whereas if you're using 2-wire smokes, it's just one continuous loop of smoke detectors, so you're not sure which one gets triggered. It's not a huge deal for most houses. Using 2-wire smoke is going to work just fine. You just want to know that there's a fire there. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. But if you do, or for troubleshooting, it's nice to do the addressable as well. So we'll push pound to get out of here since we have those defined. So if we just had hardwired devices, you know, those 4 zones plus the 2-wire smoke zone, the main system programming would pretty much be done. I am going to show, you know, maybe that was already wired and we want to add a sensor to our garage door. So to do that, the easiest way is with wireless. The NEO's PowerG wireless is great technology, has great range, it's encrypted, etc. So it's a good option if you want to have a hybrid system like this. So we're going to do an example for a wireless zone as well. And to do that, we're going to go to our wireless section, which is 804. And then we're going to want to go to enroll device. So it's already on that, so we'll just hit star. So now you have 2 options here. You can enroll with the enroll button on the wireless device, or you can just enter the serial number. So here's my wireless device. I've already got the cover off, obviously. So not sure if you can see that very well, but there's a sticker here with an ID. It's a 7-digit number. You can just enter that in, or there's an enroll button, which is right here. Basically, you just hold that down for about 2 seconds. When the light comes on, you release it, and it automatically transmits the number. And you can verify that it matches 1010818. So that matches. So you'll push star to confirm. And then the keypad's automatically going to show up with the first available zone for wireless. So 009. Technically you could put start at 005 on this system since we don't have anything connected to it. But in my opinion, if you have an available hardwired terminal, it's best just to leave it open just in case you want to use it later. So we have the first 8 zones available for hardwired, and I like to leave it like that. So we're definitely going to start on 009. So we'll hit star. And so now you see it's asking for a zone definition. So this is why we didn't have to set it up in 001 like the hardwired zones, because when you go to the wireless enrollment mode, it automatically asks for it. And so we're going to use delay 2 here. So we'll enter 002. And then select partition. So this is also why we didn't have to set this up in our partition mask in 201, because it does it automatically in here. And again, if you wanted it on a different partition, automatically partition 1 is going to activate. You can turn it off and turn another partition on. We'll leave it on partition 1 obviously for the system, and when you're done selecting your partitions, you'll push pound. And so now it's going to actually go into the zone label programming. I'm going to go through all the zone labels here in a minute, so we're going to leave this at zone 9 for now. So you can push star, scroll until you get to save, push star again. And so then it goes back to the top. If you had a second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. wireless device, you just go through the process again for that wireless device. And once you have them all done, and all your programming for those zones is done. So the wireless enrollment mode is pretty nice on this system. It gets all your programming done in one place. Once you're done, you'll just hit pound. So this is our only wireless device for now, so we're just going to go back out. And so that's all that we have to do in the programming section for now. So we're going to go back out. And the next thing I want to show you is how to set the date and time. So to do the date and time, you're going to go *6. It's going to ask for access code. It's actually wanting your master code. Default's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you could enter, if you know the code, it shows in the manual what code to use, or you can scroll through until you get to time and date. You'll push star. And so now it's asking for a 4-digit time in 24-hour format, and the month, day, year in 6-digit format. So it's about 11:10 here. So we'll enter that, and the date is August 10th of 17. So once you're done, it'll back right out, and then you can hit pound. And so now the date and time, if we didn't have the open zone scrolling through, would appear. So the last thing I'm going to show you how to do is program in zone labels. Now, getting there for wireless enrollment mode is pretty easy, as you saw. It's part of the whole process. If you're doing it for your hardwired zones, or you're going back in to do a wireless zone, either way, first thing you'll do is go into programming. And you're going to go to section 000, which shows up automatically, so we'll just hit star. And then to program in zone labels, you'll go to 001. You can select languages, and there's also other zone tamper, zone fault, other labels that you can do. Generally, you'll leave most everything alone except for zone labels. So we'll push star there. And then you can jump to the zone you want to label. We're going to go ahead and do zone 1. And so when you push star, it'll show you the current zone label, which is zone 1 currently, which is a default. The easiest way to program in the labels is to use the word bank, which you can find in your keypad's manual. Or you can scroll through it on the keypad as well, but that takes a while. It's easier just to look it up in the manual and write down the 3-digit code. So to get there, you'll push star, and it'll take you to options. The first one there is word entry. That's where we want to go. And then you can see it shows aborted and 001. So The 3-digit code for aborted is 001. And again, you can scroll through like this and it'll show you all the words. So that's one possibility if you didn't look it up or can't find your manual. But the easiest thing is to type in the 3-digit code. So our first zone label is front door. So front is 081. So it'll pull it right up, you got front. Then you can hit star, and front appears. And so you can see the little line is on the T. You can scroll, and it'll show, you can go to whatever position you want. So right now front 1 is showing up because we had zone 1 there before, so the 1 is still on there. We want a space there. To enter a space, you're going to use 0. And so that clears it out. And then you can scroll to the next spot. And if we're going to do door there, you could go to the word entry bank to do that. Alternatively, you can enter whatever word you want using a alphanumeric entry, kind of like the old-fashioned texting on the old flip phones and things like that. So 1 is going to be A, B, C, and 1. 2 will be D, E, F, and 2. And you can find this code in the manual as well. We also have it printed out on our quick start guide. So for door, we're going to hit 2, and a D will show up. If I kept hitting 2, it's going to scroll through all the different options and then back to the beginning. So I want the D, so we're going to leave that there. Scroll over. Now, O is going to be under 5. It's the third letter under 5. But you can see how it's still uppercase. If you want to leave it uppercase, that's fine. The other thing you can do is go to your options by pushing star. And then you'll scroll over to change case. So when you hit that, lowercase now selected. So now we can hit 5 again, and we're going to get a lowercase o. And then we can scroll over, hit 5 a few times, and we'll get the lowercase o there, if I can stop on the right one there. And then R is under 6. So another neat thing with this is if you are going to a different button, it'll actually automatically go to the next spot. And then you can select R. And so now we have front door labeled there. So we'll hit star. And then if you scroll to the left, it'll take you right to save. And then you'll hit star again. So now zone 1 is saved, and you can select a different zone. You can go to zone 2, enter that one. If you want to check your work, you just go back in, front door's in there. So that's all there is to the zone label programming, and you can do that for all of your zones. Once you're finished, you'll just push pound until you're out of there. And so now it's going to scroll through the open zones. You'll see front door, and then zone 2, zone 3, etc. So that's how it's going to appear when you label it. It makes it a lot easier than trying to consult a zone list or having to remember which zone labels you used. So that's all the major programming steps for getting a system up and running. There's my friend Chris is doing a video on the user code programming, so he'll show you how to do that. We've also got another video on doing the wiring for this system, so you can check that out for the physical installation piece. Well, I hope you guys found the video helpful. If you did, leave us a like and subscribe to the channel. And remember to visit us on our website. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.